Hello, and welcome to my basically knowledge YouTube channel. Alright, yeah. Today we reassemble my old friend that I got a nice replacement for, and this one is going to be sold, so I wanted to clean it properly and reassemble because it's a very nice Lego for adults. And also pursuing several other goals like making my first stream and maybe also sharing some knowledge about PC building. Definitely I'm not the first on YouTube, but what the hell, why not? So let's go. I hope it is visible enough. I will be standing for the most of the video to get around. So let's start. This is gonna be the case or the chassis. We will also need CPU, motherboard, some cooling, a power supply to power it up, and a GPU or a video card, plus some peripheral devices and assortments of wires and bolts. And what I wanted to tell is that to assemble a PC, you don't need to be educated. It is designed so that anyone could build it. And basically what you need is a positive Philips driver. And positive is a joke because it has a cross like a plus, and the Siemens is a straight one, it's negative. It is barely used anywhere nowadays, but still. Okay, so a Phillips screwdriver. Maybe if you have a new PC, you will need some scissors or a knife to open the packaging. That's not our case. And now I am gonna remove most of the parts after I have laid them out for you. And we will begin work. So, by the way, sharing knowledge. So you may have seen such packaging. It has that metallic tint that is not accidental, because probably the scariest thing for electronic components is a static discharge. This packaging is conductive, which means that if you have a difference of potentials with, say, your video chip, if you touch it straightly, there may be a zap, and if it hits some silicon or maybe a capacitor, it can blow them. We don't want that. So this packaging allows the charge to flow all over and prevent small point discharges. That's why it is always a good idea not to wear wool or synthetics. Wear cotton when working with electronics. Specialized guys have a special wrist that is attached with a wire, wristband attached with a wire to the table, and it serves the same purpose, so that the table and the operator have the same potential. Or the easiest you can do, whenever you begin working, touch the case first. Because all electrical components have their neutral electrode leveled with the case. So touching the case, you say, I'm your friend. The GPU is gonna be one of the last items, and we will begin with the case. These are siders. We're not gonna need them for a while. Here we have some 120mm fans, and what we shall start with is the core. So this is the central processor socket, and here is a thermal paste which is quite old, and I tried it and it was already dried, which is not good. We will take a cotton pad I don't really have pure alcohol, but I have vodka. And with that, I'm gonna touch the case first. Touch. Now I'm gonna clean the central processor unit case. Yes, and then this guy is the so-called AIO, which is all-in-one, or in human terms, liquid cooling. You may have air cooling, it doesn't matter much, the idea will be the same. There will be a massive plate, typically copper, because copper transfers heat well. It is nicely polished, and between this plate and the case of the CPU there should be a thin layer of thermal paste, a thin one. You don't need much because these plates get pressed together pretty strongly, and all excess thermal paste gets pushed away. I wonder if I can make it any closer and more convenient for you guys. This should be better. Then again, just in case I touch the external case, I actually would show you how the CPU is installed. Actually, why not? So these frames are a part of liquid or aerial cooling setup. These may be well different for different platforms and generations. I like AMD much more in this regard. This is Intel. Well, whatever. The basic idea with the CPU socket is the same. You have a frame and you have a pretty strong spring here that holds the cover. Here, this is the heart of your PC, the central processor unit. Here is how it looks. You only see pads, you don't see any pins because all pins are here inside and they are tiny. Now, it is my first screw up. I dropped some residue of thermal paste into the socket. That is not really good. I don't have any pressed air. I'm gonna blow it out. you definitely don't want to touch it with neither your fingers nor any screwdriver. Those are so delicate. Okay, so here it is. Oh, I remember times when you didn't have metal casing on your CPU, you got your bare crystal, and it is so fragile, and there was a huge chance that you could tilt your this guy just a little bit when you installed it, and the silicon got broken. Hopefully those times are gone now, but actually the basic idea remains the same. You see, we have two notches here. Their position may differ from socket to socket or from processor to processor, but they show you the direction. Also, you have one corner with a mark, and you have a similar mark here on the socket. So all you need to do is simply put your CPU into the socket, close the lid, and carefully push the spring down and fix it. These are all socket specific. We're gonna just put them back into place. There are some nuts that hold them in place. As always, a generally good idea that first you put all nuts, if there are more than one, in place. You tighten them a bit. The thing gets centered nicely, and then you tighten them to the end. Okay, now comes the thermal paste. I won't show you. Definitely not gonna show you what I have here, which kind, but still. As I said, you don't need much. You need probably several drops. You push it out, and you can distribute it with your syringe or maybe a toothpick. Toothpick is okay because it shouldn't leave much residue, like cotton bud. And also it won't scratch. So yeah, basically you cover most of the area in a thin layer. It doesn't need to be even, but it has to be there. We will leave the CPU for the time being and switch on to operative memory or RAM. This is how it typically looks like. This is DDR4 generation. Currently DDR5 is the standard. This is still quite okay. And you see typically 2 to 4 sockets for RAM modules. I have only one because another died and began giving errors, but okay. I won't give you I actually will give you a universal recipe. Look up your motherboard manual, and there is bound to be a scheme in which order to put memory modules to make the most of the motherboard's dual channel memory controller. I think actually on that motherboard the first chip went into socket B1, it is second from the CPU. So mind the thing, here is a notch which has a lock here, so you cannot insert it the wrong way. It just doesn't go in. So you have only one way to put it. And then there are such ears on the sides. You should open them before installing. On some models, one may be static and the other movable. You'll know when you see it. And now we just press it down somewhat firmly, and you see they close on their own. So we're good for now. By the way, the motherboard has quite a lot on its backside, which is why it is a nice idea to have it on a special soft pillow, which usually comes with the motherboard. It's pretty convenient to operate. So let us begin working towards installing the motherboard into the case. Motherboard goes here. Here you can see these small standoffs, which serve exactly that purpose, to protect motherboards behind from contacting with the metal. We don't want that. So don't screw motherboard directly into the case. Hope you are not gonna be able to do it, but nice to know. And here we need to think a bit. I will try to lay down and show you. Case is pretty light for now. Now, while we don't have any components installed, I think this way it should be the most visible. Okay, my camera needs adjustment. I'm not sure I got much better. I will try to get closer. So, as you see, the motherboard goes in here. The thermal pad of the AIO goes onto the processor, and I only have two ways to put it: this way and this way. I won't be able to fix it any other way. So where does the radiator go? I am limited by geometry, by the length of my cables, or rather heat pipes, and by my aesthetic sense. So suppose we put it like this. It will be not really good, because here should come the graphic card, typically. So this variant won't work. What if we swap it and put it like this? And then, which option do we have? This. This is quite okay. This is really okay. Yeah. This is acceptable. What if we want the radiator to be facing up? Actually, sorry. This scenario was my working setup. What if we try and put it like this? And you know what? My case will not allow that, because motherboard's radiators are so high, I just cannot put my AIO right here. Okay, that makes it settled. That makes it settled. By the way, so most motherboards have a custom backplate panel which should go into this slot. Of course, you need to look up the layout of connectors on the back of your motherboard, and this is actually a spot where it can get a bit tricky and a bit, oh my god, what's the word? Dangerous for your fingers. Do not ever do movements like this along the edge or pull along the edge. I cut my finger almost off this way once. Alright, I think, how do I do? How do I proceed? In this particular setup, and now I will show you. So you can see here a connector for which brings power to CPU, and we want our layout to be as codeless as possible. I mean as aesthetic as possible. So I will show you what's the issue. So here we have an opening, but it's so tiny and the motherboard is so close that we probably will not be able to pull the plug through that opening with motherboard installed. I just know this case, it is probably its drawback. It shouldn't be like that in a good case. Well, I mean, this is not a bad case, but this is definitely could be improved. Just cut it a bit more here. So because of this, thinking a bit in advance, we once again remove the motherboard and we get a power supply. This is typically how it looks like. This is a inlet socket, a switch, and a bunch of wires with connectors of all kinds. So here's this bunch. Nowadays, premium, and actually mid-segment power supplies come with modular wires. This is not the case, but we'll manage. So here you can see 4 slots for bolts, 4 openings, and you can see that this is in. What if we try to swap the direction? Actually, it will work, but it doesn't make actually that much sense, because I can see that this fan, it's hard to tell from outside, but the fan blows air to the direction where its fins are bent in, right? So it blows here. We want the general flow to be from bottom to the top. Also, we are way safer when nothing can get into the power supply, because unlike most components. We have high voltage here, not as high in the rest of the places. You can see there's quite an assortment of different boards that use in PC building. I was actually looking which ones should go here, and I can tell that it doesn't actually matter much which cap you have, because you can have this rounded one, you can have this one, you can actually catch with your pliers. It doesn't matter as much as the diameter, because this guy is M2, it's thinner, this is M3 and it's thicker. Just a bit, barely visible with the eye, but huge difference for the socket. So while the video was on pause, I got myself a 4 M2 screws, which should fix the power supply nicely. You can check, you can tilt it a bit if the bolt doesn't get into the socket directly. So the point behind... Oh crap, what's going on? Okay. I had to close the window because a wind blower came and it became way too noisy. So here we have a wide opening for all our power wires. We pull them to the back and we pick one wire. It typically has an indication CPU on it. It should be 8-pin. If you look, pins are a bit different, so you cannot loop the direction of the pins. And all I do now is I stick them through here. They will not fall through. And that should be the preparatory step for installing the motherboard. I think this should be way better visible to you. Okay. I will check which bolts fit the standoffs, because it's always tricky, and actually it may well depend on the case vendor. So this was too thick. Yeah, these guys need M2 apparently, so I will find an appropriate number of them. So, since this video is definitely not all new, shiny and fancy, I will show you some of the real troubles that happen. So, you may see that I am missing one standoff here, which means my motherboard can get bent through a bit, maybe touch the backplate. This is, least to say, suboptimal and pitiful, but we will need to work with what we have, so we can select which standoff to sacrifice. And in my opinion, probably the best variant is gonna be this one, because there are no connectors that we ever want to push hard. Here goes, video card goes here, strong power socket goes here, bunch of interfaces here, and we don't mess much with this side, so that will be it. However, we are ready, almost ready to insert the motherboard, but I think now we do need to install the pump for the AIO. And let's remember, it is gonna be like this. Alright, we still want to avoid any extra pressure, so we lay it out as evenly as possible. We try to align it softly. Here are just a couple of screws. Then again, we don't want to tighten one of them till the end at once. Instead, several turns here, several turns here, several turns here. You can feel the pressure under your screwdriver, and you want it more or less even, and to some extent, yes, now I feel it just doesn't go further anymore, which means we got it to the end. Then again, this process requires a bit of thinking. So I can see that my heat pipes are laid out pretty beautifully, but this power wire is just dangling. I want it to go here to the connector. I don't want it to go around all the way like this. Well, that is solved quite easily. We put it down, take a screwdriver, we unscrew 4 bolts, which are other bolts and screws. Yes, try not to drop your screwdriver like that, especially on electronics. Probably nothing happens, but better safe than sorry. So we rotate it 180. Now all the cables and pipes come out from the same side, I hope. This serves us well. We want a working build, but also we want a beautiful build. Good. Good. I think we can now remove this packaging. And yeah, here becomes the part when it is not quite handy, but you need to somehow manage. So I very much hope it's well visible. We try to not apply too much pressure to any part. We get this wire out. Yes, we align the motherboard with all plates. No, this will not work like that, so we need to lay down. Now it's gonna be way easier. I will just align the motherboard with the back plate carefully, align it with the the standoffs, and now I'm gonna fix 1 and I'm gonna fix 2. Good. So 1 screw is not enough, 2 is enough. Also, what I have learned, and what has at times irritated some people, that I do not like to fix everything at once forever. Finally. I will tighten them eventually, but first I want to just snap them so that they keep in place. It doesn't matter if they give sound or something. Yeah. Finding appropriate screws is always a challenge unless you have a very fresh motherboard out of your package, and then it's a breeze. But on the other hand, just don't stress too much over it. So you can see that the motherboard's connectors are all here nicely. Here is the radiator exhaust. Here is the motherboard. Everything is fine. Yeah, that was actually, and now you can see why that is my habit, because so here we have our, I will show you. I will lay it down again, that is fine. You can see our connectors here and the socket here. The problem is that there's an currently invisible lock on them, so they must be aligned properly. They will not go in otherwise. I will try to insert them one by one. If my fingers fit. This wire is already bent as needed, but when your wire is fresh, you may want to rotate it and align it before actually inserting. Let's see, if the left one goes first, and you hear a nice snap. Yeah, I think we should be fine. Unfortunately, I have a kind of a portable lamp. Where are we? Yeah, now you see that we have everything in place. I like this lighting actually. So fancy. For now, we can already attach the power for the fan. You can see top right connector says pump fan, and so here it goes. And also we should have system fan, we have so this is not right, so what is pump should be pump, and CPU fan should have a separate, right, here it is, CPU fan. So it takes a bit of reading, it takes a bit of trial and error,